In the beginning wisdom spoke. Before ink touched parchment, before prophets were born, before Israel crossed the sea, there was a voice not formed by lips, but spoken through light, through rhythm, through the weight of creation itself. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Elohim, and the Word was Elohim, long before that Word took on flesh. He was already here, speaking, not in parables yet, but in patterns, not from a mountain in Galilee, but from the silence before time. He spoke through wisdom. The Lord possessed me at the beginning of his work. Before the depths I was brought forth. She was with him, before the skies were stretched, before the fountains of the deep burst forth, before man ever took breath. When he marked out the foundations of the earth, then I was beside him like a master craftsman. She danced in perfect agreement with the Creator's voice, not as a metaphor, but as a mystery unfolding. And then in time that same wisdom stepped into flesh. The Queen of the South will rise at the judgment, for she came to hear the wisdom of Solomon, and now one greater than Solomon is here. He wasn't only pointing forward, he was pointing back. If you believed Moses, you would believe me, for Moses wrote about me. Before Abraham was, I am. Yeshua didn't contradict the Torah, he revealed it. He didn't replace wisdom, he embodied her. He taught as no man had taught. Yet every word he spoke was rooted in what had already been written. He was the voice from Sinai, now speaking in the streets. He was the fire in the bush, now standing in the temple. He was the living Torah, made visible, and he called the humble, the hungry, the poor in spirit, not to something new, but to what was ancient. Do not think I have come to abolish the Torah or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill. Yeshua was not a break from the beginning. He is the beginning, and wisdom, the one who shaped the foundations, was always his. She is not lost. She is not silent. She is still crying out from the streets, from the gates, from the scriptures, calling us back to the voice we once knew, and may yet learn to recognize again. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. Wisdom has always invited, not with force, not with spectacle, but with a table. She has prepared her meat. She has mixed her wine. She has also set her table. Come, she says, eat of my bread and drink of the wine I have mixed, and live. Before altars were built, before the temple rose in Jerusalem, there was a table set by wisdom, a place of nourishment not for the body only, but for the soul. To sit at wisdom's table is to be fed by what is eternal. It is to eat what aligns, what heals, what reveals. And generations later, that same call echoed again, from the lips of the Word made flesh. Unless you eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink his blood, you have no life in you. Whoever feeds on my flesh and drinks my blood has eternal life. These were not shocking words to heaven, only to man, because wisdom had always said, eat and live. Proverbs and the Gospels speak the same language. The wine of wisdom is not earthly. It is mixed with revelation. It loosens the tongue to speak what is holy. It opens the ears to hear the voice of Adonai. And the bread is not only grain, it is truth. It is alignment. It is the Torah hidden in plain sight. Yeshua was not speaking of a new meal. He was revealing what had always been prepared. But not all come to wisdom's table. Some are too busy with their own. Yet still, she cries out. Does not wisdom call out? Does not understanding raise her voice? At the highest point along the way, where the paths meet, she takes her stand. Even in Job's day, the question was asked, where can wisdom be found, and where is the place of understanding? Job 28:12. Gold cannot buy her. Silver cannot match her value. No man knows her worth. The deep says, it is not in me. The sea says, it is not with me. Only Elohim knows the way to wisdom. And he declared it plainly. Behold, the fear of Adonai, that is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding. Wisdom is not hidden from the pure in heart. She is hidden from the proud, the clever, the self-assured. Yeshua once lifted his eyes and declared with joy, I praise you, Father, because you have hidden these things from the wise and learned, and revealed them to little children, because the table is low, and only the humble sit there. There were 2 trees in the garden. One was pleasing to the eye, the other was precious to the soul. One offered knowledge, the other life. One promised understanding, but the other held wisdom. And Adam and Eve chose knowledge. They reached for insight without obedience. They chose the right to define good and evil, instead of submitting to the one who already had. They rejected the tree of life, which is wisdom, and reached for the tree of knowing, which offered control, but not communion. Because true wisdom is not about information, it is about reverence. The fear of Adonai is the beginning of wisdom. And to keep his commandments, this is understanding. But mankind has always wanted to be like God, not in humility, not in holiness, but in power. That same spirit rose again in Babylon, Nebuchadnezzar, a man who stood like a god, ruled like a tyrant, and claimed greatness for himself. He built empires of gold and fire, and lifted his eyes to heaven, not in prayer, but in pride. Is not this the great Babylon I have built? By my mighty power, and for the glory of my majesty. He became the image of what man looks like, without wisdom, without fear, without understanding. So Elohim did what he had done before. He cut him off. Just as Adam was driven from the garden, Nebuchadnezzar was driven from his throne, to eat grass like cattle, to wander with the beasts, until the man who thought he was a god remembered that he was only dust. He became like a beast, because without wisdom, man is no more than an animal dressed in pride. And the statue he dreamed, the one of gold, silver, bronze, and iron, was not a tribute to greatness, but a warning. It is the image of all human kingdoms, each built on pride, on conquest, on power, on knowledge divorced from reverence. But there is a stone, cut without hands, that struck the statue on its feet of iron and clay, and broke them to pieces. And that stone is not a nation, it is not a movement, it is not man's wisdom. It is the Torah, the word, the unshakable command of Adonai. It is Messiah, not as a lamb only, but as a rock. And the rock will crush what man has built in rebellion, and fill the whole earth again with wisdom. Not the kind that seeks to rule, but the kind that teaches us to kneel. Not the kind that builds towers, but the kind that restores the altar. The earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of Adonai, as the waters cover the sea. Habakkuk 2:14. This is what is coming. Not more empires, but the return of the fear of Elohim. Not more information, but the restoration of his voice. Not all rejected wisdom, not all chose pride, not all reached for power. There was one, a shepherd, a singer, a sinner, who loved deeply. David. He was not perfect, but he was hungry, not for kingdoms, but for God's heart. Oh, how I love your Torah! It is my meditation all the day. He did not seek greatness through rebellion, but through intimacy, through worship, through repentance. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. David danced before the ark because he saw what kings forgot, that the highest place in heaven belongs not to the strong, but to the surrendered. And centuries later, Yeshua stood before Israel and spoke the same language. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And again with holy urgency, the hour is coming and is now here, when the true worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth. He wasn't building a new religion. He was calling his people back to the worship David knew, back to the covenant Israel had forgotten. And still, she forgot. Israel, the chosen bride, the covenant people. She traded pearls for idols, promises for politics, intimacy for imitation. But hear the cry of the groom. I bathed you with water. I washed the blood from you and anointed you with oil. I clothed you with embroidered garments. You ate fine flour and honey and oil. Your fame spread among the nations because of your beauty. But then she trusted in her beauty. She forgot the one who made her radiant. You played the harlot. You lavished your gifts on foreign gods. You did not remember the days of your youth. Yet even in her unfaithfulness, his love did not end. I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore I have drawn you with loving kindness. For Israel will not be forgotten by me. I have blotted out your transgressions like a cloud. Return to me, for I have redeemed you. You see, Adam lost wisdom through rebellion. Nebuchadnezzar lost reason through pride. But David found favor through love. And Israel, though unfaithful, remains beloved. Because this story is not just about judgment. It is about a jealous God who will not let go of his bride. She was chosen, clothed in beauty, set apart to reflect the majesty of her king. But when the call came, she refused. Vashti, the queen who would not appear. She represents more than a woman. She is a picture of a people. Israel, beloved, adorned, favored, but unwilling to submit. She turned away in the wilderness. She turned away in the promised land. She turned away in the days of the prophets, and again in the days of the Son. You were my bride, says Adonai, but you would not come when I called. So what does the king do? He does not stop the feast. He does not cancel the kingdom. He prepares a crown for another, Esther, a name not born of royalty, but of exile, a girl hidden among a foreign people, a daughter of Israel. The world did not even know who she truly was, until the moment came to reveal it. She had no temple, no scrolls, no priests to guide her, but she had favor. She had identity, though hidden deep inside. She is the scattered bride. She is the remnant of Jacob, living under another name, yet still marked by covenant. And so it was foretold. I was found by those who did not seek me. I revealed myself to those who did not ask for me, not because they were not sons of Israel, but because they had forgotten. They had been scattered to the nations, planted like seeds in foreign soil. They no longer remembered his name, but he remembered theirs. I will call those who are not my people, and her who was not beloved, beloved. He never forgot his bride. And though the crown passed to another, that other was Israel still, hidden, exiled, unaware, until the appointed time. Esther was not Gentile. She was hidden Israel. And today, many Esthers remain, sons and daughters who live among the nations, bearing other names, speaking other tongues, yet carrying a longing they cannot explain. And the king is calling again. Come out of her, my people, so that you will not share in her sins. Revelation 18:4. And I heard another voice from heaven. Gather my elect from the four winds. The woman fled into the wilderness, where she was nourished for a time, and the dragon was enraged with her, and went to make war with the rest of her offspring, those who keep the commandments of Elohim and hold to the testimony of Yeshua. She is awakening. The bride who forgot her name is starting to hear his again. The veil is lifting, the crown is ready, and the rock that shattered the kingdoms of men will soon fill the whole earth. With a kingdom of wisdom, a people of covenant, a bride made ready. At the end of the age, the final vision is not of a religion, not of an empire, not of a cathedral. It is of a bride, and her name is not Rome, not the church, not some new entity with a foreign voice. Her name is Jerusalem. And I, Yochanan, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from Elohim, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. She is not the invention of theology. She is the fulfillment of prophecy, not a replacement, but a restoration, not a stranger, but a daughter returning home. At that time, declares Adonai, I will be the God of all the clans of Israel, and they will be my people, and written on her gates are not the names of popes or prophets or church fathers, but the names of the 12 tribes of Israel. 12 gates, 12 tribes, no denominations, no substitutions. It has always been about Israel. She fell, she wandered, she rebelled, but she was never forgotten. Can a woman forget her nursing child? Even if she does, I will not forget you. Behold, I have engraved you on the palms of my hands. Your walls are continually before me, from Egypt to the wilderness, from Babylon to the exile, from Galilee to the ends of the earth. He never let go of his bride. But when she would not come, when she clung to idols and forgot his voice, he did what he had sworn. He scattered her. I will scatter you among the nations. Yet I will not destroy you completely, but I will discipline you with justice. And yet a promise remained. In the last days I will gather you from all the nations, where I scattered you in my fierce anger and wrath. And I will bring you back to this place, and let you live in safety. And what of the church? What man calls church? Elohim calls mixture. She adopted pagan feasts. She rejected the Torah. She crowned emperors in Messiah's place. She took Israel's scriptures and made them foreign. She claimed the bride had changed. But the bride was only hidden. She was never replaced. She was never divorced. She was only scattered, waiting for the time of restoration. Come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins. The voice is not calling the world to join the church. It is calling Israel to come out of confusion. It is calling the children of Abraham, the tribes of Jacob, the scattered of Joseph, back to the covenant, back to Jerusalem, back to Torah, back to the rock. He will lift a banner for the nations and gather the exiles of Israel. He will assemble the scattered of Judah from the four corners of the earth. And when she is gathered, when the veil is lifted, then the cry will go up from Zion, Baruch haba b'shem Adonai. Blessed is he who comes in the name of Adonai. And the King will descend, and the bride Jerusalem will be adorned, cleansed, whole. This has never been about a new religion. It has always been about a return. The rock that strikes the statue of man's empire will fill the whole earth with the glory of Elohim and the wisdom of his Torah, and his people will dwell with him, not as strangers, but as a restored bride. Somewhere in heaven there is a scroll with your name on it, not the name you were given by men, but the one whispered over you before you were formed, the name your soul remembers, but your ears have never heard. And written on that scroll is a return, a journey older than memory, a covenant your ancestors carried, until exiles scattered it like dust across the earth. But dust can rise again. You didn't stumble here. You were drawn, not by algorithm, but by spirit, because something ancient is waking, something buried is rising, and something hidden is being revealed. This isn't about religion. This is about remembering. The shepherd is calling his sheep, not to a stage, not to a system, but to his voice. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. If your heart is burning, if your spirit is trembling, then maybe it's because he is lifting the veil from your eyes. You were never lost, only hidden, only waiting. And now it's time. There's a path beneath your feet, older than empires, marked with the footprints of prophets, wet with the dew of Eden. The journey has already begun. Just walk. And now, O Israel, what does Adonai your Elohim ask of you? But to fear him, to walk in all his ways, to love him, and to serve him with all your heart. Stand at the crossroads and look. Ask for the ancient paths. Walk in it, and you will find rest for your soul. Just walk. So if your heart is burning, if your spirit is trembling, if your eyes see what they were never taught to see, then hear this. You are not alone. You are not lost. You are not early. And you are not late. You were called not to a movement, not to a ministry, not to me, but to the shepherd, to the King, to the voice that once thundered from the fire and then walked in flesh among us. His name is Yeshua. He is the Son of God. He is God with us. He is the living Word. He is the promised Son of David. And he is coming back to reign from Zion. So return to him, not in theory, but in obedience. Return to his commandments. Return to his covenant. Return to his name, because the voice is calling again, not in thunder, but in a whisper, to the scattered, to the weary, to the forgotten ones who still remember. The path is narrow, but it is ancient, and it is good. Just walk.